Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. I'm your host, Jerrid Sebesta of Taatjes Financial Group, where we build purposeful retirement plans. At Taatjes Financial Group, we believe retirement planning is so much more than just preparing financially. Our goal is to help retirees and pre-retirees steward their time, talent, and treasure. We have the tools and proven process to make sure your retirement delivers the greatest purpose, impact, and legacy. If you need help building a purposeful retirement plan specific for your life and your retirement, give us a call. Our number is 222-4236. You can request a meeting online at taatjesfinancial.com. And if you're in the neighborhood, just stop by our office. We're located right on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer, building purposeful retirement plans. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, if you missed last week's show, we talked about having cash on hand, and there was two specific reasons why we would dig into that question. Ben Taatjes joins me on the show here today, and I found last week's show really interesting because one of the reasons was financial, and the other reason was not. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Jerrid, I think for the first time in a very long time, we're actually seeing rates of return on cash that are better than zero. In fact, they're pretty good. I mean, you look back in history, the last 40 years plus, we've been in a very low interest rate environment and dropping over that time. And here recently, we've seen finally a return to what we're seeing today is more normal historical interest rates. Mm-hmm. I know it's hard for people to hear. They think, man, interest rates are super high. And what we're seeing is that they're actually more normal if you look at the long term. Sure. And I think what happens then is banks start paying a little bit more. We've got several options for clients that allow them to finally earn a rate of return on on their cash. So that was part of the reason, but I think probably the biggest reason, Jerrid, that I've always wanted to keep a good handle on what our clients have in cash is I usually think there is there has been and there will continue to be better places to invest that money. But more importantly than that, if I see a retiree continually increasing their cash on hand, some people say, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And it may not be. And that's what we talked about last time is the I guess it's kind of a non-financial reason to look at financial reasons. Is sure. If I have somebody that continually saves while they're in retirement, I tend to, a bell goes, an alarm goes off in my head saying, okay, why? Why are we continually building this cash value inside of their accounts? Because that tells me they're saving. And if they are saving, if their goal is not to pass all their wealth on to their kids, mm-hmm. if their goal is not to die with a pile of money, and yet they want to live and experience and do those things, that's when I say, okay, we can do this better. Sure. Every single dollar needs a plan. Every single dollar needs to have a reason for being in your portfolio. It's a tool, right? Sure. So we're trying to say, no, if your cash balance has grown a lot, number one, think about investing it in some form or fashion if it fits your plan. Mm-hmm. But number two, look at why. Why is your cash really swelled and grown?
I've seen that over the years as we've done these shows and I've worked in this business, that flipping that switch from saving, which many times lasts for decades, into either just maintaining or even spending, that's a tough hump to get over for a lot of people.
It is. It comes back to differentiating wealth versus income. While you're growing your wealth and you're saving over your younger years, you should be focused. We should have a budget that tells you how much am I saving, how much can I save, and stick to that plan. Mm-hmm. When you are in retirement and you're no longer bringing in an outside source of income, you're not bringing in an income from your job and you're relying on other, on your portfolio, or you're relying on rent, or you're relying on all these other sources of income, Social Security. That's the time when I say you should have a budget so you can really spend, right? Because when you're able to spend, you're able to give, and I think that's one of the cool things about our plans is it gives you the freedom to really use what you've saved to make a difference in your kids' lives and charities' lives and in your own life and experiences. It just frees you up to do so much more.
Yeah, it's just more than just a number on a page and making sure that number is as big as it can possibly be. If you missed last week's show, I encourage you to go listen to that. We dive in a little deeper than that. not. And there's many ways you can check out our previous shows if you miss them live on the radio. Go to our website, taatjesfinancial.com. They're always on our Facebook page. Make sure you like that. We're on iTunes as in the form of podcasts. You like podcasts? Search Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. And we're even on YouTube. So if you can't find us, that's almost on you, because it seems like we're a little bit of everywhere. But make sure you go back, listen to those shows, subscribe to our channels, because it's really, really good stuff. All right, today, man, we're going to talk about our trip last week. We had an interesting week last week. You and I went to Dallas, Texas to visit our home office, and you're a little under the weather from that trip today. You may be hearing that, so I hope you're on the mends there. But let's spend today's show and just kind of talk about maybe some of the things we learned about our home office.
Yeah, you ever have that time when you're in the airport and you see a guy sneezing and he walks right at you and basically sneezes on you and you're like, oh, I'm going to get a cold. That's me right now. So my daughters affectionately call it a man cold, so they don't think it's a big deal. I get very little sympathy. Though. I think it's a big deal. That's just me. But no, we had a wonderful trip. And what I loved about this trip was we were able to go to our home office, which, Taatjes Financial Group here locally in Wilmer. Of course, we are a local place where clients can come in. Our job is to really assess risk, to look through their current portfolio, to help them do all the things that you would say a quote-unquote financial advisor would do. Plus, as you've heard from our shows, much, much more. But we have a group of people behind us that is, nearly 1,000 strong. Okay, it's a company called Avantax, and sometimes I think when our clients see our a relatively small business here, 10 people, and we've got a pretty small building where we all sit and work, they're like, oh, how big are they? What can they handle? Well, I can tell you that from my home office visit, when I got to go in and see just what they're doing down in Dallas on our behalf and really on the client's behalf, I'm amazed. I do on those trips many times just to meet and kind of just talk with the executives and make sure everybody's in alignment with where we're at. I think we're somewhere in the top, I know we're in the top 15 of the, 3,000 to 4,000 financial professionals in the United States of America. So we've grown a lot over the years, and that means you get certain benefits of getting the ear of many of our top executives. Yep. But what's exciting for me is if I see things within our business that are exciting or things that are challenging, I can have a seat at the table. So you and I both sat at the table with our CEO. We sat at the table with our the various VPs of the different groups, whether it be marketing, business development. There's so much operations. Yep. We met a guy there that has totally revamped the operations, which may not sound like a big deal to somebody listening. Like, well, it doesn't matter to me. Believe me, it does matter to you, because when you have a group of individuals that is there supporting us as the financial professional, it is highly valuable, and for us to have a seat at the table is also very beneficial.
From the client's perspective, it was interesting for me to see a lot of how other businesses operated, and my biggest takeaway from last week is that we run a very tight ship here, and that's kudos to you, that's kudos to our team, that's kudos to our home office and the operations that are happening there. But I think people maybe get used to, like, somebody comes in, they want a new account open, perhaps they need a withdrawal, and that stuff happens very, very quickly, which is not always the case with many other firms.
No, it isn't. So I had a story the other day. A client had, their parents had passed away, and they were working through kind of the unwinding of the estate. They were working through different accounts that had been open. They were trying to close, make changes, and it was a lot of work. It was a absolute ton of work. And I remember they kept saying different things about dealing with this blank firm. I won't say their name, but it's a large firm that you may recognize. And I said, wow, that's very hard to hear, because I know that when clients deal with our firm and they deal with our home office, things happen quickly. Our head of operations explained to me that they are on same day or next day by noon turnarounds on all of their financial transactions. So things happen quickly. People don't want to wait. Remember, Jerrid, every time that there's a major life change, whether that be a divorce, whether that be a new marriage, whether that be a death in the family, all these different things in life that happen, right? There's almost always a financial ramification to that. So when we go through those life events, I know that the last thing I want to do is have the financial side of that cause any more stress or headache for that person. So I find it extremely rewarding when I can go visit with the people that are really in charge of making sure things happen on a timely basis. That was encouraging to me, because I think that's what we're about, right? We're about people lining up their money, right, their treasure, with making sure that it accomplishes life goals. And sometimes the goals that are there, they change, and sometimes there's surprises in our life. And when that happens, we need to make sure that we can be there for our clients in a timely fashion and make those things as pain-free as possible every single time.
Yeah, man, great point. Thank you so much. Well, if you are ready to begin building a purposeful retirement plan that will best steward your time, talent, and treasure, we can help. We have a number of ways you can set up a no-cost, no-obligation meeting. First, give us a call at 320-222-4236, or request a meeting at our website, taatjesfinancial.com. Or if you live in West Central Minnesota and are in the neighborhood, just stop by our office. We're located right on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer. Office hours Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. I'm Jerrid Sebesta, joining you on this episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Securities offered through Avantax Investment Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Avantax Advisory Services. Insurance services offered through an Avantax affiliated insurance agency.